3 minutes ago, unconfirmed reports began emerging from the Strait of Hormuz that 6 United States Army AH-64 Apache attack helicopters operating as part of a routine patrol mission over international waters were engaged by Iranian air defense systems and shot down in rapid succession. The helicopters were part of a formation operating from amphibious assault ships positioned in the Arabian Gulf as part of the ongoing American military presence designed to keep the strait open to commercial shipping. Initial reports suggest all 6 aircraft went down within a span of less than 2 minutes, indicating a coordinated engagement using multiple fire units rather than isolated targeting. As of right now, the Pentagon has not issued an official statement. Search and rescue operations are reportedly underway, and the status of the flight crews remains unknown. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to break down what we know, what weapon systems Iran likely used to achieve this result, why the Apache was vulnerable, despite being one of the most heavily armed and survivable attack helicopters ever built, and what this means for American military operations in the most strategically sensitive waterway on Earth. Before we continue, thanks a lot for tuning in. Your support is what keeps this show going, and I appreciate you watching. As always, please make sure you're subscribed and like the video so more people get to see this. Now let's get into it. The AH-64 Apache is not a fragile platform. It was designed specifically to survive in high-threat environments, equipped with redundant systems, armored cockpits, and countermeasures designed to defeat the kind of surface-to-air missiles that would typically be used against low-flying rotorcraft. The aircraft carries infrared countermeasure systems that can defeat heat-seeking missiles, radar warning receivers that alert crews to targeting radar, and chaff and flare dispensers that create false targets. In 4 decades of operational service across multiple conflicts, the Apache has proven remarkably survivable. The fact that 6 of them were shot down in less than 2 minutes suggests either a catastrophic failure of those defensive systems or the employment of weapons specifically designed to overwhelm them. Iran operates several air defense systems capable of engaging helicopters at the altitudes and ranges where Apaches typically operate. The most relevant systems in this scenario are likely a combination of mobile short-range air defense platforms and possibly naval-based systems if Iranian vessels were operating in the area. The Tor M1 system, which Iran acquired from Russia and has since domestically produced variants of, is specifically designed to engage low-flying aircraft and helicopters. It uses a combination of radar guidance and high-speed missiles that are extremely difficult to defeat once they achieve lock. The system can engage multiple targets simultaneously, which would explain how 6 helicopters could be shot down in such a short time span. If Iran positioned multiple Tor systems along the northern coast of the strait, they could create overlapping engagement zones that would be nearly impossible for helicopters to evade. The Pantsir S-1 system, which Iran reportedly acquired more recently, is even more capable against rotorcraft. It combines radar-guided missiles with rapid-fire anti-aircraft guns, providing a layered defense that makes evasion extremely difficult. Even if an Apache successfully defeats the missile component using countermeasures, the gun system can still engage at close range. Iranian forces have been training extensively with these systems, and this engagement suggests a level of operational proficiency that many Western analysts may have underestimated. Another possibility is the use of man-portable air defense systems, commonly called man-pads, deployed in large numbers. Iran produces domestic variants of these shoulder-fired missiles, and if dozens of them were fired simultaneously at a formation of helicopters, even the Apache's sophisticated countermeasures could be overwhelmed simply by the volume of threats. This tactic, known as saturation engagement, has been used effectively in previous conflicts and would explain the rapid loss of multiple aircraft. The strategic implications of this engagement are enormous because the Strait of Hormuz is not just any waterway. It is the most critical choke point for global energy supplies, with approximately 20% of the world's oil passing through this narrow channel every single day. Any disruption to shipping through the strait has immediate global economic consequences. The presence of American military assets, including these Apache helicopters, has been justified for decades as necessary to keep the strait open and ensure freedom of navigation. If Iran can effectively deny American forces the ability to operate in and around the strait, that entire strategic assumption collapses. The Apache helicopters that were shot down were likely conducting what the military calls presence operations, essentially flying patrols designed to demonstrate American capability and deter Iranian aggression. These missions typically involve helicopters operating from amphibious assault ships or expeditionary sea bases positioned in the Gulf, flying predetermined routes that keep them over international waters, while maintaining visual and sensor contact with Iranian coastal positions. The fact that Iran engaged these helicopters despite them operating in international airspace represents a significant escalation because it suggests Iranian leadership has made a strategic decision that the potential consequences of shooting down American aircraft are acceptable, compared to the benefits of demonstrating that they can contest American freedom of movement in the region. The loss of 6 Apaches also represents a substantial tactical blow. Each AH-64E Apache Guardian, the most recent variant, costs approximately $55 million. That's $330 million in hardware lost in 2 minutes, not accounting for the weapons, systems, sensors, and ammunition each helicopter was carrying. More importantly, each Apache requires 2 highly trained crew members, a pilot and a co-pilot gunner, meaning 12 American service members are now either dead, captured, or awaiting rescue in extremely hostile territory. The training pipeline to produce a qualified Apache crew member takes years and costs millions of dollars per person. These are not assets that can be quickly or easily replaced. The tactical circumstances of the engagement will be critical to understanding what happened. If the helicopters were operating at low altitude, they would have been more vulnerable to short-range systems and manpads, but less visible to long-range radar. If they were at higher altitude for better situational awareness, they would have been more exposed to radar-guided systems, but should have had more time to react to threats. The fact that all 6 went down so quickly suggests they were likely caught in a carefully prepared ambush, where Iranian forces waited until the helicopters were in an optimal engagement zone before opening fire with multiple systems simultaneously. Timing is everything in this kind of engagement, and the Iranians appear to have executed it flawlessly. The immediate American response will likely involve a significant increase in combat search and rescue operations to recover any surviving crew members. These missions are extremely dangerous because they require sending additional aircraft, likely including more helicopters, into the same area where the original aircraft were just shot down. Iranian forces will be expecting this response and may have positioned additional air defense assets specifically to engage rescue attempts. This creates an escalatory spiral where each American attempt to recover personnel exposes more assets to potential loss, while failing to attempt rescue is politically and morally unacceptable. The broader strategic question is what comes next. The United States cannot allow this engagement to go unanswered without signaling to Iran and other adversaries that American forces can be attacked with impunity. But any military response risks further escalation in a region already on the edge of wider conflict. Striking the air defense systems that shot down the helicopters would be the most direct response, but Iranian air defenses are mobile and may have already relocated, and any strike on Iranian territory invites retaliation that could expand the conflict beyond what either side can control. The incident also exposes a vulnerability in American military planning that has been developing for years. The United States military has spent 2 decades focused primarily on counterinsurgency operations against adversaries who lacked sophisticated air defense systems. The Apache performed brilliantly in those environments, providing close air support and precision strike capabilities against enemies who could not effectively shoot back. But Iran is not an insurgency. Iran has invested heavily in air defense systems specifically designed to counter American air power, and this engagement demonstrates that those investments have paid off. The assumption that American helicopters could operate freely in and around the Strait of Hormuz has just been proven false in the most dramatic way possible. International reaction will be carefully calibrated. Gulf Arab states, which depend on American military presence for their own security, will be watching to see how forcefully the United States responds. If the response is seen as weak or indecisive, it will raise questions about the reliability of American security commitments throughout the region. China and Russia, both of which have been expanding their own presence and influence in the Middle East, will be analyzing the engagement for insights into American vulnerabilities and Iranian capabilities. Every adversary of the United States is watching this incident closely because it provides real-world data on how effective modern air defense systems are against American platforms. The economic dimension cannot be ignored. Oil markets will react to this news, and depending on how the situation develops, prices could spike significantly. Any perception that the Strait of Hormuz is becoming a combat zone will cause shipping companies to reroute vessels, increase insurance premiums, and potentially halt shipments entirely until the situation stabilizes. The last time the strait was seriously threatened, during the tanker war in the 1980s, global oil markets experienced severe disruptions that contributed to broader economic instability. The world economy is far more interconnected now than it was then, which means the potential for cascading effects is even greater. For the families of the 12 crew members aboard those helicopters, the next hours and days will be agonizing. In the immediate aftermath of an incident like this, information is scarce and often contradictory. Some crew members may have survived the shootdowns and successfully ejected or crash-landed, but their chances of survival and rescue depend entirely on how quickly search and rescue forces can reach them and whether Iranian forces attempt to capture them. The prospect of American service members being held captive by Iran would create an entirely new dimension to this crisis, one with profound political implications. The technical investigation into how this happened will take weeks or months, but preliminary questions are already emerging. Did the helicopters have adequate intelligence about the location and status of Iranian air defense systems in the area? Were they operating under rules of engagement that prioritized presence over survivability? Did their defensive systems malfunction? Or were they simply overwhelmed by the volume and sophistication of the Iranian engagement? Was this a planned ambush that Iranian forces prepared specifically for this patrol? Or was it an opportunistic engagement that happened to catch multiple helicopters in the same kill zone simultaneously? The answers to these questions will determine how American forces adjust their tactics and whether helicopter operations in the region can continue at all. The loss of 6 Apaches in a single engagement is unprecedented in the modern era. During the entire Gulf War in 1991, the United States lost a total of 5 helicopters to enemy action across all types. During the Iraq War from 2003 to 2011, helicopter losses occurred, but almost never in such rapid succession against such a capable platform. This incident represents either a significant evolution in Iranian capabilities, a serious degradation in American defensive measures, or a catastrophic intelligence failure that allowed American forces to fly into a trap. Regardless of which factor or combination of factors is responsible, the result is the same: a major tactical defeat that will reverberate through military planning for years. As search and rescue operations continue and more information becomes available, the full picture of what happened will emerge. But even with the limited information available right now, several things are clear. American military freedom of action in and around the Strait of Hormuz has been directly challenged and at least temporarily denied. Iranian air defense capabilities are more sophisticated and effectively employed than many analysts believed. The strategic assumption that American forces could operate in this region without significant risk has been proven wrong, and the broader conflict between the United States and Iran has entered a new and more dangerous phase, where neither side has a clear path to de-escalation that doesn't involve accepting outcomes they have repeatedly said are unacceptable. The next few hours will be critical in determining whether this incident remains a contained tactical engagement, or becomes the spark that ignites a broader regional war.